Thanks for hanging out with us today. And today's real estate topic is all about HOAs. So if you are somebody who is thinking about buying a home or different type of property, maybe not a residential home, in an HOA community now or at any point in the future, or if you are just simply curious about what HOAs are all about, you're going to want to stay tuned until the very end, because I think we're going to share a little bit different of a perspective on HOAs. I personally really like HOAs. I'm for HOAs. I don't know what Spencer's going to say, but at the very end, we will also share some negative aspects to look out for, to keep an eye out for, I guess you could say, when buying an HOA.
Interest rates are up, and sometimes you can't afford a residential home, and these less expensive homes seem to always have an HOA included, and usually it requires it to be a townhouse or a lot line, or heck, even a manufactured home in a park. I mean, we can even go there because of these sales prices being so low. But keep in mind, an HOA does affect your loan approval. And there is a difference because you're paying your property taxes on top of now this additional $300 usually plus dollar fee a month with your sales price. Yes, the sales price might be $50,000 or even $80,000 lower, but on a 30-year amortization schedule, that's kind of like $10-$20 maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really affect you all that much. So in the long scheme of things, it might be better off to hold on for a residential home in certain markets and times. But realistically, right now, I think this is a great topic, and here's why.
Why?
I'm dealing with 3 clients right now, 3, and they're out of the Portland metro area wanting to purchase a home. And it can have an HOA, it could be a 0 lot line, it can be a townhouse, and it's because of their pre-approval amount. And it's by far less than the average sales price in that area. So if that's you and you're a client and you're looking for a home, but your budget's only X amount, and we all know the average sales prices in particular areas. If you don't, let us know and we'll send you the average sales price in your area. If it's lower, well, usually there's an alternative option and a route, and that's going to be condo living, townhouses, 0 lot lines, manufactured homes, and I mean, carry deals if you can find it.
Yes, that is very, very true. We're seeing that a lot with people buying, condos and townhomes, which are great options if you're not able to purchase a residential home. However, chatting about HOAs today, don't exclude, I guess you could say, I don't want to exclude
residential communities.
Because there are many from, more like starter home communities to 55 and over communities with residential homes that you ride golf carts around to golf course communities, upscale communities, $1 million home communities with HOAs. And so it doesn't, although a lot of times when you think of HOAs, you might just think condos and townhomes. They can look so many different ways. And that's the thing. They're not going to look the same. The HOAs for a, so-and-so estates neighborhood where the houses are really, really nice, like those HOAs are going to look much different than the HOAs in a townhome, as far as how much you pay, as far as what they cover.
CC&Rs, and your regulations,
so we'll
what
get
you can
into
do with
that.
your property, your monthly fees, your annual fees.
Yes.
I think it's a great thing though, because we're going to probably talk about this. It's going to protect you in a lot of the time. Most of the time it protects you in the long run.
Yes. And generally, just a quick little rundown of what we see with HOAs. Generally, if you're buying a condo, that's probably going to be the highest HOA amount. I mean, it's common around here at least to see HOAs like $500 a month for a condo. Townhome, it's going to be a little less, like maybe $200 a month HOA.
Usually, I'd say $175 to $290 is pretty common.
And then neighborhoods, it's going to vary drastically depending on the type of neighborhood, but it's even common for like $100 a quarter. I mean, it's going to be extremely, extremely minimal when you have HOAs. $100 a year, like extremely minimal compared to condos and townhomes.
So Mariah, why would somebody in their right mind looking to buy or sell real estate want to have an HOA?
I'm so glad you asked. Well, so something I hear a lot from first-time buyers especially, but really just different types of home buyers when looking at houses or talking about what they want in a home is some buyers, they just get so fired up. They're so against HOAs. Like they want nothing to do, and I'm not just talking about they want nothing to do with a condo or a townhome. Like they want nothing to do with someone telling them what to do with their property. Yeah. And I get that. I get it. I respect that. But to me, because I've sold so many homes in different types of neighborhoods and I've seen the positive of it. I'm looking at it thinking, the things that you're not allowed to do, I don't know why you would want to do them anyway. For example, have pink Christmas lights in July, or like Christmas lights in general. Like, I don't want my neighbor having Christmas lights in July. I don't want my neighbor having 10 junky cars outside the house. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these things are going to protect your home's value. So that's one of the positive things about HOAs is they are going to ensure that your neighborhood stays nice. There's a reason why you drive through, let's just say, Creekside Estates, like just a nice upscale neighborhood. There's a reason why you drive through and it just stays nice. Everything's nice. The roads are clean and taken care of, and the homes are taken care of. It's because they have standards that with the HOAs you have to uphold. And I know I really don't want my neighbor's house getting run down. And so that's just a positive thing. You get to live in a well-groomed area. Yes.
And, I look at that as protecting my investment.
Absolutely.
I mean,
absolutely.
I think, you have a monthly fee. And usually if you're in a residential area, this monthly fee is so minimal. But I get it. Some people say, well, why am I paying this? There's nothing being provided for here. Well, sometimes there is. The thing that's provided for is your value to continue to increase annually at a more consistent rate for when people do decide to resale. And that's what's holding your particular area to a certain standard and why people are willing to pay above and beyond the average sales price in particular areas where you live. And that's where, yes, that $20, $40, even $80 a month fee could raise issue for you. But if you look at it on the flip side, I mean, it is helping you in some ways. You might not see that instant gratification like us Americans really love. I mean, I love being able to go to my phone and have Google, and 5 seconds later I have the answer. This is a long-term game. This is a real estate investment. And the people that do the best are the boring guys, the boring investors. And it doesn't have to be glamorous. And that's all this HOA fee is really going to be doing for you. Now, there are some communities, right, with these water features, these water parks, these nice clubhouse. Yeah. And that's what you are paying for, the upkeep and maybe employment in those areas. But for the most part, when we are talking about residential living, I don't see that in our area specifically more or much often. So it's more towards a golf course or something like that. Right.
You're going to see, like I mentioned before, like this is going to vary very drastically depending on the type of community and the area that you're in. Here in Salem, Oregon, at least, what comes with the HOA is going to vary drastically. Some communities of just regular residential homes with an HOA, it's going to be so minimal, and like $40 a quarter, for example. I've seen that, and it's not going to really include anything.
It doesn't break the bank.
No, sometimes it's going to include a golf course, a swimming pool. I mean, there's one neighborhood in particular I'm thinking of that I love in Wilsonville. They have so many different amenities. They have a beautiful like walking trails, a park, like a children's park, and it's all like super, super nice, and it's all taken care of and upkept and everything. Some are going to have golf courses. Some are going to have, like I said, nothing. But for townhomes and condos, which we won't go too much into this because we don't like to really repeat ourselves on this channel. We have full episodes where we have gone into like in depth on everything you need to know before you buy a townhouse and everything you need to know before you buy a condo. So head over to our channel and check those out after you listen to this if you're interested in more information on that. But for townhomes and condos, that now they will cover, the roof when the roof needs to be replaced. Like that's what you're paying for, the siding. And to me, that's a really awesome thing.
That's a big bonus as well. Yeah. I mean, I've lived both lifestyles with and without an HOA. And in the case of living with an HOA in a townhome community, it was nice getting to just come home, park your car in the garage, walk inside. Your exterior is always going to look the same. When things happen, you send in an email to your HOA board member or whoever your president may be, or even the community management property team, and it gets taken care of, and you're paying for that, and it's a service provided for the area you live in. I always refer it to like I mean, we all know certain items. You get what you pay for, right? So you don't want the cheapest pair of sunglasses, but you don't want the most expensive pair of sunglasses. You want the pair that's not going to break after 5 times of wearing them, and they look good. They have the right shape that the modern style is willing, and you get what you pay for. So, and a lot of times these HOAs, that's exactly the way it is. You get what you pay for, and service is a big part of it. And then, like I mentioned earlier, the equity that you get to gain and capture year over year, just sustaining through your community being in great condition, that's a huge bonus.
Yeah, you never want to have the worst home in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You never want to have, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. You never want to have the best home in the neighborhood.
There you go.
Okay, you don't want the worst home in the neighborhood either. But you don't want to have, if we're talking like real estate standpoint, investing, having a good investment, your home holding its value. You never want to have the best home, meaning that you don't want to be the home where you just found this gem and all the homes around it in the neighborhood are really run down and not taken care of, because your home's value, you can compare it to homes all the way across town all you want, but what it's realistically worth and going to sell for and what it should be listed at when you sell it is the closest homes to it comparable, that you can compare it to. So I'm going to just speed through these points real quick of why I think that HOAs are actually a positive thing, and then we can share some of the maybe things to look out for, a little bit of our experience, and like maybe some negative things that you want to like have a heads up on before you buy with an HOA. Yeah. All right. You live in a well-groomed neighborhood. Your home's going to hold its value. You might have more maintenance done for you, and who does not want that? And the restrictions, like I said, I think are a good thing. Generally, I know some are going to be stricter than others. Some are extremely, not that restricted, and some are to the point where they want every house looking the same, and I get that. You want to be able to paint your house a certain color.
Right.
What I think is a good thing is when they don't let you paint your house, or they don't let your neighbor paint their house like bright pink. But if it's so restrictive that it's like you can't paint your house any color except this shade of blue, then maybe that's not necessarily the best thing. Yeah. So you got to know, what you're going in for, and you'll be able to find that out on the CC&Rs before you even like set up a showing.
Right. And I mean, before, here's the deal. What? During your home sale or purchase, I guess we could say you're a buyer right now, you're purchasing a home, it's in an HOA, review the CC&Rs and just like ask a neighbor about them if you really get the chance and opportunity to. Because I have run across, a property manager, for instance, she may live right next to the community, so she's probably more up on it, making sure everything's to standard. Well, there's also some instances where, it's kind of just brushed under the rug and people are self-sustaining and doing their own thing.
Yeah.
And, it works in all directions when it comes to capabilities and what you can and can't do with your property. Yes, we want to follow the rules, but also we have to understand the relationship between your HOA and the community itself when you are involved in an HOA.
Definitely. So Spencer, I want to know, based off of both your experience living, we lived in a community with an HOA for a while, but also your experience working with buyers and sellers, purchasing and selling homes in HOAs. Like, what are the things that you think the biggest issues or biggest red flags buyers should look out for, or precautions to take before buying?
I've purchased homes personally, and I've worked clients through homes that are purchasing with an HOA. And the number one thing that I would say that you need to look at over the rules, over the regulations, over the community manager is the books. What I mean by that is the financial circumstances of the HOA. Now, I'm usually talking more condo, townhouse geared living now.
Right.
Usually residential,
you're not
really applying.
Yeah.
But when you are looking and having an HOA involved with your home purchase, you definitely need to look at the books, the financials, and see if there's any like special assessments coming up. And that's just a big bid for, say, all the siding is due to be replaced. Well, if you're in a 50-unit complex, do you know how much money that is to replace all those unit sidings? And then condition of things as well. This is a big study that a estimator has to come out and do, which costs you guys, the community, because you're now a part of it, money. And if it's not managed appropriately or correctly, you can really be in a bad position. We've seen HOAs basically go bankrupt, and now it's left with the community members, and their hands are up in the air because literally they can't sell their property. The appraisers won't allow them due to condition. They can't actually fix it on their own because of the CCRs and regulations. So it really can put you in a bad spot if you're unaware of the HOA's condition and financing. And that is something your agent needs to do for you. Basically, you ask for it. Usually within 7 days of getting an accepted offer, you have that timeline started to receive all the HOA contracts, information, their last meeting minutes, those type of things. But I would say that's the number one priority you really need to be looking at. And then also, I mean, how many members are actually paying their HOA fee? And some managers are willing to tell you that, and some are not. But you're having a problem when your community isn't actually paying into the fee, because every monthly fee goes into your reserves. Your reserves are going to pay for your long-term care. And if that's not being collected, man, we got a problem.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's really important. I know I've had really, just thinking back to times I've worked with listings or buyers on condos, I've had some really bad experiences trying to get a hold of the HOA, just like trying to get a hold of the person in charge. I'm thinking of this one condo in Portland in particular where the sellers lived out of the country, and it had been a rental for since they owned it. Yeah. And so they really couldn't tell me, like, they don't live here. They don't know all of the questions and things that, they need to know about, the things that a buyer would need to know about the HOA. And just getting a hold of, I don't think I've ever had that hard of a time getting a hold of someone when it came to the HOA. So sometimes it takes a lot of persistence, but it is important, I think, to call or have your agent call for you and talk to whoever's in charge of the HOA for sure before making an offer.
Oh, that's great advice.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Well, that is it for this week. Thank you for hanging out with us today. We come on here every single week and talk about real estate. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell, and we'll see you next week.